Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to appreciate the executives for giving me the opportunity to present this public health issue that concerns all of us. Corpus Christi, Priestly people. Yeah, so today our topic to crown this whole celebration is your kidney, your health. I guess we have a lot of health issues that we always talk about. But as you all agree, the issue of kidney problem has become a major issue. I mean, we hear of it all the time, that people have kidney failure, they have to undergo dialysis, and it's a very expensive, treatment. So it's our hope that through this topic, at least we have some information we'll share with our friends, and we also take steps as individuals to improve on our health. Okay, so we all know about the kidney. Um, it's basically, they say it's being shaped, located along our spines at the lower edge of our ribs. And it's very important. In fact, it's stated that the ancient Egyptians, when they actually mummified their kings, they preserved only the brain and the kidney as internal organs for mummification because they knew the significance of the kidney. But then we always talk about chronic kidney disease and also acute kidney disease. But for the sake of today's discussion, the focus is going to be on, the chronic kidney disease, because for acute kidney disease, it's obvious. You have some massive infection or something happens and then your kidney shuts down. And so by that, it can quickly be determined. But chronic kidney disease is silent. You never see it, but then it goes on and it progresses in life and eventually becomes, it leads to renal failure. As I said, it's a major public health issue. It said that 1 in 10 adults suffer from chronic kidney disease globally, and it's not surprising. You may not know because the thing is progressive. Unless you check, you might not know. And millions die of the complications. Your kidney is basically your filter, like in a vehicle. If the filter in your vehicle is not working, then you have a lot of issues. And you know that it's also very, very expensive. If you know the cost of dialysis for a day, then you appreciate the fact that this is very, very expensive to manage.
Yes, so please, we have in our midst Reverend Father Kwashi, and he's here to visit us. We would put a pause on our talk. If you have any questions for the next 5 minutes, he and the PPC chair are ready to answer you. Thank you.
to say that, chronic kidney disease, once you have it, it's not curable. And the complications are a lot, particularly having heart conditions. It leads to premature death. And when you enter the stage of renal failure, then you need dialysis or transplant as a measure. The kidney is not in isolation. The kidney is also connected to other things, like your bladder and your urethra. So anything that affects these other things, like the urethra, the bladder, can also affect the kidney. And a lot of the time, chronic infections, that's as a result of, sexually transmitted infections and the rest, can actually also progress and affect the kidney. Yeah, so this is the structure of the kidney. Just to let you know that the kidney, as I said, is a filter. It's a very efficient filter if you consider the amount of blood that passes through it in 24 hours and how much efficient it is in taking away all the substances that our body don't need and bring it out. So that's the kidney for you. So if you understand what the kidney do, I think that will be the most important thing, so that we know that if our kidney is not working well, you know the implications of it. First of all, its major function is waste excretion. It takes something, the body takes all that is needed, and the remaining comes out as waste in the form of urine. The kidney also absorbs essential nutrients from the body to maintain the body's pH. The body has to, perform within a certain environment. It's one of the role of the kidney. Water electrolyte balance. You realize that when you take in more water, then you frequently pass out a lot of urine. When you have little, then the kidney tries to preserve what you have. So it regulates how we keep water. Again, it's very important organ for blood pressure. And that's why when you go to the hospital and have, pressure, they keep on monitoring your kidney. There are a lot of mechanisms within the kidney to regulate our blood pressure. And there are a lot of other compounds that the kidney secretes. So as I said, it removes waste from our body. Whatever we take in, the remaining that we don't need is taken out. A lot of the food that we take, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, eventually will be broken down. But then, remember, for everything that we take in, there's waste products. And it's the kidney that does the function of taking it out. As I said, it also removes excess fluid from our body. When we don't need so much of the fluid, the kidney regulates it. It's also a way of balancing all the minerals, sodium, potassium. It's naturally, a system to regulate some of these things. So if you have so much of one, the kidney then works to regulate so that there's a balance of these chemicals in our body. As I said, it controls the blood pressure. It makes a hormone that helps to, raise the blood pressure to the extent that is needed. However, then when there are issues, then it goes upward, and then your blood pressure can become very high. So that hormone is called renin. Another important thing is that the kidney actually makes red blood cells. So it is not just for excretion of urine. The kidney helps in getting us red blood cells. As I said, it has a lot of mechanisms that is able to do that. Also helps maintain, the bones. The kidney, in a way, helps absorb calcium from the food that we eat through some complex mechanism. So you can see that the kidney has a very important role. So just imagine all these things I've talked about. If there are problems with the kidney, these functions are going to be affected. I've already made mention of the fact that the kidney is a very efficient organ that is able to, takes a lot of the, blood that comes into our body, filters it, and then, makes it clean, and then the rest goes off. So it's a very important organ. For instance, about 7 to 8 liters of blood a day goes through the kidney 400 times within 24 hours. So just imagine, it's a very efficient filtering mechanism. You can compare to other machines, and you can see that it's very, very efficient. It's a filter that is, I would say, it's just perfect in terms of how it's able to take off all the things that are not needed in our system. We should also know that even when you have one kidney, your body will function. There are people who have only one kidney due to, trauma or something. And if you are taking care of yourself, you should be fine, even with a single kidney. So what happens if the kidney is not working well? All the things that I've already mentioned will just, not function. So you will see that initial stages you have no symptom. And that is where we just want to emphasize. You can have a kidney problem and it can go on for years. It's progressive. It can go on till you've lost almost 90% of the function before you start seeing the effects. And that is why we are saying we don't need to wait till that time. If something is progressing and is earlier detected, then it can be slowed down. So that is where, the whole, essence is that you can have no symptoms or signs for a long time whilst the kidney is, progressively being damaged. And I just want us to take care of that information. However, once you get to the late kidney stages, you feel that, you have tiredness. Let me say, all these things I'm talking about, other conditions may also present like that. But if something is regulating, for instance, your blood, and it's no more functioning, you realize that you have anemia. Your whole system is weak because you have toxins in your system. So the effect of all those things will show in your body. And so you have people who are passing out urine, which is foamy. Because now the urine is not supposed to pass proteins, particularly albumin, out. But because the kidney is no more functioning well, you pass urine and there's albumin inside. And the presence of that albumin will make the urine foamy. Instead of the clear water that you pass out, the urine becomes foamy. And a whole lot of things. For some people, they may even start passing blood in their urine. Blood is not supposed to be passed. It's supposed to be sieved and go back. But when the kidney is affected, you can start losing blood because the filtering system is not working. So blood can just pass through the barrier and go out. Then you have poor appetite, swelling around the eyes, which is, persistent. It's not like you've just woken up and your, eyelids are swollen. This one is persistent swelling of the, around the eyes. Poor appetite. Your whole system is now, toxic. You have a lot of poisons in your system, which is not being efficiently cleared. And so you become sick. You have all these conditions that I've mentioned. But it takes a long time for this to show. And that is one of the dangers of kidney disease. It progresses. You may not see it, but by the time you start seeing the symptoms, it is very far. So usually blood and urine tests should be able to provide information about the function of the kidney. And then when those things come out, then further tests and analysis can be done. You can do MRI, there are other tests that are done to really know the stage in which the kidney is. As I said, when the kidney is getting to the less than 10% function, if you look at it, then we are saying you are getting into end stage kidney disease. And then after that, you reach a point where the kidney no longer It just exists in your system, but it's no longer working. Then we say you are, you have, kidney failure, and in that situation, it's only, dialysis and currently transplant of a donor kidney that can help. So basically, when you talk about dialysis, it's nothing more than a machine or a system taking over what your kidney was doing. So you can see that it's not going to be as efficient as the kidney itself. Your blood has to now pass through a machine for it to take off all the toxins and all the things that you need, and then it's taken back into you. And that's why it's very, very expensive. And you have to do it basically for life. And it's very expensive. So at the end of the day, most people can't afford. And that is the situation. Of course, you can also have the opportunity for kidney transplant. Now it's happening. People are donating their kidneys, and that can also support. So for us, I think the message is we have to keep our kidneys healthy. And what we can do, I say the golden rules, is to keep fit and active. Most of the chronic conditions affect the kidney. Hypertension, diabetes, they all affect the kidney's function. And so if they are not well controlled, then one can have these issues. One of the easiest ways to keep fit, stay active, to be able to at least make sure that some of these lifestyle diseases is minimized. We should also eat healthy food. As I said, the byproducts of the food that we eat has to be, excreted by the kidney. So as we overload our system with foods that, have a lot of these byproducts, then the kidney is also overworking, and that can affect our kidneys. Again, if you have pressure or diabetes and you're not eating well, as I said, these conditions damage the kidney. And so if you are not eating well, you are putting additional stress on these organs. Another thing is we have to monitor our pressure. At a certain age, at least, even if you don't have hypertension, at least once a year, you should check your pressure. But when you get, I think, above 40, it is critical that frequently you take opportunity to check your pressure. It may be the first sign that your kidney is not working well. So it is something that we have to be doing. It's simple, it's easier to do, and then once you know it, you can take in the measures to be able to prevent further, problems with respect to pressure. As I said, we should eat healthy, make sure we check our weight, and then healthy fluid intake. When we talk about fluid intake, we are talking more about water, not other fluids. Yes, they are known to also flush the system. As I said, the kidney's function is to filter, so it needs a lot of fluid to be able to function well. Smoking is no, because smoking can cause a lot of kidney cancers that can actually lead to damage. Smoking can make diabetes condition worse. It can cause hypertension and so many other things. So if one wants to protect the kidney, one of the sure ways is to avoid, smoking. Over-the-counter medications. There are a lot of medications that when you read, they'll tell you that if you have to be very careful. When people are taking ibuprofen, naproxen for a long period without prescription, all these, over-the-counter medicines are, we'll say, nephrotoxic. They can actually damage the kidney. But beyond that, antibiotics. So taking medications that are not prescribed is dangerous. And people don't just take it for a short time. It becomes, something that they do over and over. That may be that you are just damaging your kidney without knowing. Again, I didn't state it here, but let's also think about herbal medications. Some herbal medications are taken in gallons. It may be very potent, but remember, there are also byproducts in these preparations that can be very dangerous. And so we all need to be very careful whatever we are taking in. It may end up healing you, but creating problems for you in the long run. So, for us, what do you do? I think you have to, when you go to the hospital, let's take advantage and check our kidneys. If you have diabetes, if you have hypertension, periodically insist that your physician checks your kidney. If you are overweight, it's also a risk factor. Make sure your kidneys are checked periodically. If you have family history, in fact, it's been identified that people within West Africa, particularly Ghana and other places, there is a gene related to that. So if you have a family history of kidney disease, it's something that you have to be looking at. So there's the hereditary component, and one has to be aware of that and keep on monitoring their kidneys. If you are over 50 years, but I will say even less, because now even 40, 30 people are having diabetes, hypertension. So we should be able to do that. And when you are taking medications, as I said, you may be taking medication for other conditions, which have been prescribed. But then if these medications are such that they also have effect on your kidney, and sometimes they are boldly written on these medications, you have to be checking your kidney. So we have to just make sure that, as I say, we live healthy, and then we be very active. In conclusion, let me say that if we take care of our kidneys, it will take care of us. It has very, very important functions, and damage to it can really affect our health. And so take care of your kidney, and your kidney will take care of you. Thank you very much.
Let's give Doc another round of applause. Okay, doctor will take your questions now. We'll take them in sets of 3. So 3 questions, doctor will answer, and then we'll go on to the next set. Who is ready to rock and roll? Okay, I'll pass the mic on.
Hello, Doc. My Pojo Bamit. Doc, I want you to tell us more about the byproducts you speak about that damage the kidney, and what is your advice about foods to take in to promote the healthy growth of the kidney? Number 2, you talked about a foamy nature of urine. How do you mean? Is it the kind of foam we males see on the floor when we pee, or the urine itself is foamy? Could you please come clear on that? Thank you.
Hello. Please, with regard to the fluid intake, I saw an article on the internet which spoke about taking 2 liters a day. Then later on, there's a corresponding article nowadays which says you have to take at least 1 liter in 2 days. I want you to clarify that how much we can take. And also with regard to these herbal plants that help you to clean out your system, how frequent should you take it? And if you're taking it, is there something you have to look out for?
Please, I wanted to know the relationship between kidney failure and kidney stones.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so the first one was on the byproducts. There are a lot of, when you go to the hospital and you do urine analysis, you realize that they will say urea, you have uric acid, and a whole lot of other things. But let me say, for the byproducts, if the kidney is functioning very well, a lot of them you may not be, the body will filter, the kidney will filter, and that's not going to be a problem. However, if it starts accumulating, and most of these are essentially the protein and the fats that we take in, you will start seeing what we call your urea and creatinine going very high, and so that will show that you have a lot of these in your body, and if it continues like that, it shows that progressively your kidney is not working well. For food to eat, we always say everything in moderation. However, fruits, vegetables is very good for the kidney, and as much as possible, you should be taking more of that. As we age, we have to reduce most of the, animal-based foods. You don't take so much because at the end of the day, they are the ones that produce the byproducts, and then it becomes very difficult for the system to clear. Again, there are so many other things that we take that we don't know. For instance, fruits and vegetables are good, but we also know that pesticides damages the kidney. So whilst we are saying take all these things, we also know that now there are a lot of environmental pollution, and so we also just have to be careful what we take in, because even though we may be taking the right things, it might be damaging our kidney. With respect to the foamy urine, it's easy to see. For instance, when you urinate into maybe the WC, you see that it's, instead of, if it's clear water, like urine should be clear, it just mixes with the water in the WC and it goes. But then you see that this one, it foams a lot, and then when even you flush, it doesn't go. It's not like the usual, foam, because it has a lot of albumin. Just imagine you have egg, you mix it with water, and you stir a lot. You see how it happens. That is what is happening with respect to that. The albumin, which is supposed to be maintained in your body, because the urine, the kidney is not functioning well, some is coming out, and that is how you see it. I mean, initially it may be small, so you may not see, but when the kidney is failing, you see a lot of that as you pass urine. With respect to how much fluid, as much as possible, you should be hydrated. But there is the trend where people are taking gallons of water. If your body, you see, that's why the kidney also functions. If you take a lot, it will all come out. When you are dehydrated, you realize that your urine is concentrated. You have to take in. When you are thirsty, you have to take in. As much as possible, you take in a lot. But if you take in more than the body needs, the kidney will bring it out. So I wouldn't say take 6 glasses or something, but you have to be adequately hydrated. Some people only drink water when they are thirsty, which is not good. The body works within, fluid environment. So as much as possible, we should be hydrated. But to follow that trend where people are saying, drink this number of gallons a day, that, I will tell you, it will come out. The body doesn't need more. If it goes beyond a certain point, the body would bring it out. With respect to herbal products, yes, now at least they are under regulation. Just make sure that whatever you are taking in, there's dosage in particular. Some now they are saying 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons. It's better. So people just take them, as I said, in large quantities. And if you don't know what is in, some of the herbal products also have some chemicals that can cause kidney damage. Now, kidney stones is basically stones in your kidneys. It's it's basically crystallization of certain salts in your kidney, and a lot of the times it may progress. I mean, if you have those things and it's not cleared, it can block the kidney, but it is more of to do with dietary and other conditions that leads to that. But when people have kidney stones, they have to be treated so as to avoid complications.
Thank you very much, Doc. One more question. Ella.
Please, is the foamy urine like the foam in a mattress? Is the foamy urine like the one in a mattress?
Okay, Doc will answer. Okay, ask.
Please, my question is when when we have foamy urine, does it mean that bubbles come in the WC? Thank you.
Thank you. Doc will answer your questions.
Okay, so please, the foamy urine is maybe the term I'm using is just imagine you add water and then you break an egg and then you sort of mix it together. You see these kind of bubbles coming up, and as kidney disease progresses, that is what you see. It is like bubbles and oily sort of within the urine we pass out. And so it's not the foam like in the foam mattress, but just to say that it is a type of observation you see when you have that condition. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So as we said, diabetes is one of the major, complications from what do you call it, chronic kidney disease. So it's possible somebody might have diabetes, the kidney is damaging, and then you have that. But for the diabetes, the ANS is basically when you have the, sugar and it gets attracted. But the foamy urine, it's obvious. It's because maybe you haven't seen it. It's difficult to describe. But it is not the normal urine. As I said, the normal urine is very clear. It's plain water. It can be straw color, the rest. But this is more like, I only say soapy sort of, urine. But you see that it's really different.
Forgive me. Do you have any more questions? No. We'll take the very last one, and then we can continue with the other things. Thank you.
Doc, you made mention of the genetics factors. I want to find out those who have their kidney disease through genetics. What is the way forward? You made mention of genetic factors, like some people can get their kidney disease through genetics. And I'm asking, what is the way forward for those people?
Yes, as I said, if now is as I said, whatever now runs in your family, you should be on the lookout for. So, for instance, if your immediate siblings or close cousins have that condition, it's likely, and as I said, in certain studies that has been done, it has come out that in West Africa they have actually identified a kind of gene, especially in Ghana, that is related to that. So once you know it, you should be on the lookout. It means you have to be watching your diet. You have to periodically check, because most of these things you can sort of slow the progress, and make it, live a normal life if you know if you have a family history. If you know that you have the family history, you may not be smoking. You'll be checking your pressure and doing all the things that will prevent you from getting it. But hereditary is hereditary. If it's coming from the family, you can't do much about it, only to know and to take the necessary precautions, and then also monitor your health.
Thank you very much. Priestly people.
Priestly people. So we want to thank Doctor very much for, can we have some silence, please? Priestly people. Thank you. So I want to thank Doctor very much for taking time this morning to educate us on our kidneys. As you may have learned from the presentation, they are very important, and so it's very important that we take very good care of them. So I hope that all the measures Doctor has laid out for us this morning, we will actually take them very seriously and live by them. And now let the party begin. We've organized some wache at the back. Please remain seated. Your turn will come. You will approach the table and get something for yourself. In the meantime, enjoy your drinks and your water. All the best.